Nick Cannon. He decided to, throw a magic cylinder out on the field. He decided to throw it back on the people that claim he's a bad father or can't be a good father, and to stop having kids. And he said, "My body, my choice." Can you get behind Nick Cannon?
Yeah, man. I feel like he's I don't know him personally, but he can be a good father. Like, I feel like has the ability to be that. And if he came to like every one of their Christmases, right?
I mean, isn't there only one day of Christmas?
Yeah, but he might have a private jet where he can fly all sorts of places, and a lot of them might even be based in LA or wherever he is. Right?
The question that I have for everyone that's like, yo, this guy's a terrible father, he can't be a good father to all these people because he's never there, is a lot of people's jobs has them staying away from their family for extended periods of time. A lot of people in the military, they're gone for 9 months. So if someone's in the military and they have kids, are they a bad father now because they can't be there all the time? Or if someone's, I don't know, like a ship captain, like all those freight ships, somebody is steering those things for months, weeks at a time, and he has to stay away from his family. So is that person a bad father? So I don't think the amount of time spent is, a good enough metric. And my reasoning is, some of these people haven't even had fathers, so who are you to tell someone to be a good father? You haven't had a frame of reference. So I don't know.
You're on the Andrew Tate bandwagon.
No. I'm not saying what Nick Cannon is doing is proper. I think it would be better if Nick Cannon, like if I'm giving my honest opinion, if Nick Cannon this is what people say, oh, you can't be there for everyone. They all live here. All right, what's the alternative? If Nick Cannon says, you know what, guys, you're right. I can't be there for all of them. Let me buy this huge compound where I have a bunch of different houses and all of them are there so I can just walk over. What are they going to say next? Oh, this guy's got a cold.
Yeah, you can't win when you're famous.
That's what I'm saying.
So his response is definitely great.
So I think that situation, if he has them all like under one, like very close, then he can spend the most time with everyone. Yeah, I think that's, now you have a bunch of time to spend with them and people can't say anything about that. And I think that's ideal, probably. But you really can't win in this situation.
You can never win when you have a little bit like followers, like online.
That's true.
Also, what you were trying to get at relates to what Andrew Tate said, and I kind of agree to a degree in that as a father, in many cases, you're like the role models to your sons. I don't know about daughters. And that doesn't necessarily, it doesn't correlate necessarily with time spent. It's like quality of time spent. Like if you come back once a month and you show the son like how to be a proper adult male, then you do your job.
I also think there's the perspective of looking at it like, I don't know, people when they're younger, they look at their dad like some superhero.
Right.
So the more time you spend with someone, the more flaws you get to see.
The less magical they seem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if someone's gone, and whenever they're there, that time is not only worth more, but you're still seeing them as like this mythical figure.
But then again,
especially if they're doing something like cool. Like let's say they're like, oh, my dad's, I don't know, Nick,
a football player.
Not even like a football player. Like let's say he's like a soldier. Like the little kids, like, yeah, my dad's out there, like doing stuff like in those movies. And, he's like protecting people and stuff like that. So they're not looking at it. They're looking at it like, oh, my dad's doing his duty.
It gives them aspiration
to the world.
Yeah.
And then when he comes back, he's spending some time with me. And yeah, I think that's different from having an absentee parent who's like, yo, this chick's having those kids, man, screw them kids, just paying them or whatever, and not spending any time or being an example in any capacity.
Yeah.
Like just forgetting about them entirely.
100%. I think you hit it on the head.
But I do think there needs to be like intermittent check-ins every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, the only problem with this is that, like, the father, generally speaking, is like the fist, right? So like mom usually handles the day-to-day, but then like when the kid gets out of whack, it's like, oh, I'm gonna get your father.
Plus, a lot of these kids are infants. They're like 1, 2, 3 years old. How much are they going to remember really? Does Nick Cannon really need to be holding the baby, feeding it a bottle? Like, come on now.
Yeah.
Like, that's just ridiculous.
What about when they are older?
Well, when they're like 3+, then I'll be like, all right, Nick Cannon's probably going to spend more time with them. I'm sure he's doing research into this.
Okay.
Because every time he has a kid, his Instagram caption gets longer and longer.
It says what?
Just a bunch of hippie stuff, like, you know, like you're a universal birth giver, like just some.
What?
It gets hippier and hippier, yeah. Something about energies and chakras and, you know, physical and, you know,
yeah,
we're all
but he's
gods.
fully into that, like, polygamous relationships, right?
He doesn't even call it that.
He's just doing him.
He just creates some sort of title for it.
I mean, biologically, men would do this in wild times, right?
Well, biologically, we'd abandon the kids. That's what a real biological...
Is that true?
Yeah, of course. They wouldn't even know that the kids were born.
They would just kind of fuck the girl and then
Yeah, they're like, man, if that kid's born, that kid's born. Like, they probably didn't even know the kid was born.
And then who raised the kid with the mom? Or they just raised it?
I mean,
Because
mom probably, they wouldn't have, especially back then, they would have a kid. And
no, I
nobody's
feel
really
like
gonna
humans
raise it.
are
The community.
herd animals. And so like back in those days, they'd have like a little community. The man would like, the alpha would actually fuck all of the females.
No, I'm saying, like, what if, you know, the Mongol horde just comes and runs through that town?
Yeah. And it does a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do they do, man? Then you got kids from that. Yeah, that truly is like domination.
Yeah, you got to raise little bastards.
Oh, damn.
And I mean, probably a lot of them died.
You think
in
they would?
pregnancy, too.
You think that they would not raise them?
Who, the people?
Yeah.
Of course.
The community? Yeah.
Or I think the community would raise them, like the community of women or whoever was left, but the dudes, absolutely not. I mean, those dudes were crazy enough to, not crazy enough, let me not label them that way. They were savage enough to ride through, kill everyone in this village.
No, I'm talking about the men that were in the village.
I mean, they would be dead.
True.
And I don't think, there's no way. Like, let's just say you're in your hood, right? And then let's just make it for modern times. And then one of your ops, you know, impregnates some chick in your hood, or a lot of your ops impregnate the chicks in your hood. Are you raising those babies?
No. And that sucks too, because that's almost like torture. Like you're making a girl go through like 9 months of pregnancy. That's next level. That's worse than doxing or swatting.
Well, they needed the docks. They didn't even have docks back then. They would just ride through like, oh shoot, there looks like we see smoke up there. That's a town. Go ride down on it.
Right.
They look like they've got something. Let's take it. That's one of the interesting things I found about Walking Dead. Trash show, by the way. After like season 3, I stopped watching it after that. But one of the things you always think, okay, everybody's going to try to fight the zombies, but the problem is always the people just trying to kill the other people, even though the zombies are everywhere.
Right.
So people are always going to try to get one over on each other.
We're the most manipulative, man. We're the only animals that veer from our biological path because we're conscious.
Maybe we need less consciousness.
I do think so.
We need to drug people a little bit.
They
So
do.
become
They
more
put it in our water.
animalistic. So they become more. What is that? Fluoride?
They put fluoride in our water.
Isn't
Yeah.
that in the toothpaste too?
Yeah.
What did the hippies say about that? They say something about like it blocks your.
Well, fluoride. Oh, it like calcifies your frontal lobe.
But it's something like that.
But it calms you down or something. I don't even know if this is true.
Oh,
That's
no
just what I've
idea.
heard.